how have you been able to, both as an entrepreneur and also as a leader of the incubator 1776, how have you been able to overcome some of the challenges and to be able to help your team also overcome those challenges and move forward?
Boy, that's a...
And maybe what are a challenge or two that you faced either as an entrepreneur or as one of the co-CEOs of 1776?
I think in general, it's really useful to remember when you're an entrepreneur that you're gonna fail along the path to success much more frequently than you succeed. And I often, it feels oftentimes like you're, if you set your goals for the week, you sit there at the end of the week and you look back and you're like, man, all the things I didn't get accomplished, all the things that I got my ass kicked at, all the things that I lost at. And if you look over the course of a month, and but then when you start looking over the course of maybe every 3 months or every 6 months, and you look at how far you've come as an organization, you're like, wow, like it kind of blows you away. And it's the ability to sort of to fight through all those little frustrations and failures and no's along the way to get to success. I'll give you a simple example. So we invest into startups as part of our program. So we help startups grow and scale, and as they start to get traction, as customers start to buy their product and things are starting to come together, we'll often step in, not with all of them, but with ones that fit our profile and say, hey, we'd like to invest in your business. That's what we do. But of course, where does that money come from? Right? We have to go out and raise capital ourselves from corporations, wealthy individuals, wealthy families. They give us money so that we can go invest it into the startups. And that's called a fund, right? So we go out and find a fund of wealthy people and we bring it together. And when we first started out, we were saying, look, everybody else wants to focus on startups in Silicon Valley or Silicon Valley in New York. And everybody else wants to focus on areas where you don't have to deal with a lot of complexity and regulation and government. Everybody else is looking for the next WhatsApp, right? We want to do different than all of that, right? We want to go all around the world and find startups, maybe some that are in Silicon Valley and New York, but particularly startups that are in all these other places. And we want to actively look for startups that are tackling these really complex and really difficult challenges where there's nasty regulation and government plays a big role and traditional entrenched interests can stop success, and that's what we want to do because we think that's where the next really big opportunities lie, and we think we're really good at helping startups be successful in those areas. But going to wealthy people and wealthy corporations and saying we want to do something really different from what everyone else seems to be successful doing right now is hard. You face a lot of skepticism. And I remember when we were pulling together the fund in the early days. We were first getting entrepreneurs to invest, and we kept getting lots of them going, okay. Some of them would just say no, which was great, but a lot of them would say, yeah, I'm interested. Yes, maybe, yes, maybe. And those yes maybes would kill us, right? Because no one would say yes, and then everybody would go, well, who else is invested in your fund? And for so long, we could say, well, a lot of people have said yes, maybe, right? No one has actually said yes. And it was just this incredibly difficult challenge of just being so frustrated because every time you'd get a no, it was like, ugh. And every time you'd get a yes, maybe, it just added to the frustration of kind of going. And, I remember just sitting here, I was asking lots of our advisors, and we had lots of great advisors that have performed successfully. And I'm like, what am I missing? What's the magic formula for cracking this? And they're like, there's none. It's really, really hard. You have to gather as many of those yes maybes and keep pushing and keep adding pressure, and you just have to wait for it to all come together. And then eventually, we pitched one particularly family for whom I will have undying loyalty. And they looked at it and said, wow, this is great, and it's important, and somebody should be doing this stuff. And yes, we're in. And we're in for more than you're asking for.
Wow.
And then we were able to go back to all those yes maybes and go, hey, these guys are in, and they're really respected people. And everybody else is like, well, good, I'm in too. And then the whole thing
Snowball.
came together incredibly quickly. But it would have been so easy at any point in that process of going, well, I'm getting a lot of no's and a lot of maybes, and no one's willing to say yes, and maybe this entire approach is wrong. Like, that would have been really easy to do. But as an entrepreneur, right, you've got to be good at just barreling through all of that frustration and kind of not letting your own emotional state, which is one of screw all of this, right?
Yeah.
You can't let your own emotional state get in the way of like where you have to lead your organization and what you have to do to get to what you think is the right answer in the end.